Hey guys, good morning and happy Tuesday, the best day of your life. Haven't done a daily nugget in a while, and I figured I'd just get on here and just spit some stuff that I'm thinking about. You know, I've had several conversations with people recently about being lenders and not being property owners, like not investing in real estate. And, why be a landlord when you can be a lender? Obviously, I guess this is the pros and cons of being a landlord or a lender. The pros of being a landlord is you actually own the property and the property can go up in value. Um, and that's a major part of, inflation is a real thing. And hopefully it won't be as much as it has been, but it's always there. Properties are always going to go up in value. And a lot of people they think, hey, I'm going to buy this property, it's going to cash flow, this, that, and the other thing. You know, the biggest thing is to have many properties because the more you have, I always call them lottery tickets. One of them is going to be a lottery ticket, meaning, or more than one of them. You're going to buy for 100,000, 500,000, and it's going to end up 5 years from now double. Almost every property that I've owned in 5 years doubles. Now, the only exception are like, hey, you're in the middle of 2008 recession or the first couple months of COVID. So that's a real positive to owning a property. Now, I think we all know the negatives. The negatives are, you know, it's an operating business depending on how many properties you have. And if you have just one, then hey, it's not going to take too much of your time. But look, you got to deal with tenants, you got to deal with the property managers, you got to deal with people when they don't pay, you got to deal with repairs. You know, there's nothing like, um, hey, you got your own things you need to pay for in your life, and then you get, oh man, I need a new heater at my rental property. Um, and that being said, though, one or two of these houses not going to change significantly, drain your time or effort. However, the more you have, it's a real business. You have 10 properties, you got to pay attention to 10 properties. Are the people paying? Are they not paying? What kind of maintenance, you have? Is the property manager doing a good job? So it is effort. It's not as passive as everybody says it is. It's not like a job, like you have to go 9 to 5, but you got to pay attention. So those are like pros and cons of being a landlord. Now, a lot of people have been saying to me like, "Hey, I just want to lend money, like be a private lender." Okay, so let me start with the first con to that. And look, I don't think there is one's right and one is wrong. They're just for different people. The first negative to that is that, hey, if you loan, let's say you loan somebody, me, $100,000 on a property, if that property doubles in the next 5 years, you're not going to get any of that double. The positive is if it doesn't, you don't really care. You're just getting your interest. Now, interest to private lenders can be anywhere from 8 to 15% interest. So you're not going to have to deal with a tenant. You're not going to have to deal with repairs. You're not going to have to deal with any of that. You loan money. You have full collateral because you put a first mortgage. I wouldn't do this in second mortgage. I would never do a second mortgage. I personally never do second mortgages. I'm not saying from time to time they might not be, obviously they should be higher interest rates than first mortgages, but if you can get 8 to 15% first mortgage lending, you should do it. If you don't want to be a landlord, you just have some capital, you want to beat the inflation hurdle. I mean, look, if you're making 12, 15%, it's a great return. And all you got to do is you collect the interest every month. You collect the interest every month. And if somebody doesn't pay, then you foreclose on the property. But as a private lender, there's ways to write these things to where you don't have to go through a full foreclosure. You can just take the deed to the property. So here's my thing. I do both. I prefer to buy property because I like the upside of future appreciation. However, um, you know, I have plenty of people that would rather lend on a property. And, if you lend to 10 different people or on 10 different houses, you just every month it's like, okay, collect, collect, collect. And, look, I do lend. Um, here and there. And sometimes I lend as part of selling the property, and it is very lucrative and it's great. And I feel the collateral is super, super first mortgage position on a property is great collateral. So those are the pros and cons to being a landlord or being a lender. Something's come up this week. I'll try to do these daily nuggets more often, and hope you guys are having, I'm sure you are, having the best day of your life. Thanks, guys.